Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Conversations in the ET Studios. I'm Mayank Dhingra, and today our topic is next generation automotive retail. We are going to be talking about how OEMs are changing their retail strategies in an environment when customer demands are changing and also the product itself is undergoing a massive transformation. I'm glad to have a distinguished guest panel with me, Mr. David Kim from BMW, Mr. Mohan Wilson representing Nissan India, Mr. Deepak Mutreja from Suzuki Motorcycles, Mr. S.S. Gill from Volvo Eicher Commercial Vehicles, and Mr. Arun Subramanian from Sharpsell. Gentlemen, thank you so much for sparing the time out and talking to ETAuto. Really appreciate it. Mohan, if I may begin with you first, we are seeing this transformation in the automotive space right now. A lot of younger customers are coming to the fore to buy new cars. So what are their expectations right now? How do you see the consumer expectations changing at this point?
First of all, Mayank, thank you for having us here. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, a lot is changing with the younger audience coming into the showrooms. You can see a fundamental shift of the buying experience and also the way we engage with our customers. Customers today are so much more affine and informed about the product before they even come to the showroom. It used to be a time when customers come to the showroom to inform about the brand and the product. But today, when a customer comes to the showroom, they already know about the product. They already know about the variants. They know so much more, which essentially means the way we engage as the OEM is fundamentally shifting as well, right? From the initial touch point in the awareness page all the way until the purchase touch point. The way we engage with the customers in terms of communication, but also in terms of training is shifting fundamentally.
Right. Mr. Kim, if I may come to you, how do you see this changing consumer dynamics impact the luxury retail in India, the luxury car segment, where you are one of the prominent players? So how are you observing this consumer shift right now?
Our perspective, luxury in the past, it was perceived as the cars for little bit older generation who's already successful in their life, made a lot of wealth. But now it's shifting down from age perspective. It's getting more younger based on our own analysis. So number of millennials and Gen Z increased almost by 8 to 9% compared to before. That trend is not just only for India, but also globally. This is how it's moving. And also for us, you guys all know that we launched iX1 long wheelbase in the last year. So that actually brings middle-class customer to a luxury segment. I think that car's positioned on the border between, from our terminology perspective, premium and near premium. So that brings a lot of near premium. Of course, middle class in India, the size of the middle class is getting bigger and bigger. I think it's a fast growing segment when it comes to income bracket. So those customers now looking into a luxury brand like BMW, and that actually that model iX1 long wheelbase for us actually that broaden the scope of customers that we cater in the market.
Right. Mr. Mutreja, for the two-wheeler segment, again, similar trends there. The buyer is looking for more premium products. The entry level is moving up. So your observations from that category?
Well, see that in two-wheeler also, maybe the customer profile is like between 18 to 30. I'll not say that Gen Z or millennial, but 18 to 30 is a bracket where 50% of the customer base is there as of now. So largely, we can say 50% of the customer is in that age bracket. And only maybe around more than 45 will be around, say, 15 to 20% of the customer. So largely in sync that a customer who is around 18 to 30 or 18 to 40, there's the largest chunk of the customer who are coming in. Because now in the digital era, the customer or the information is not in isolation stage. What you can see digitally in India or any part of remote rural area, the same information, what's happening around the globe is visible and readable, or you can say it's immediate, accessible. So customers have very high expectation that he should have a complete list of features, many features which are true what you say premiumization he expect. But equally from the value proposition, it's very reasonable to understand what's of real use. From brand point of view, then you have to make a marriage mix of features. What is the expectation? What's the true value of the product? But yes, standing true, a lot of customers have a high expectation of more premiumization, more features which are future ready.
Mr. Gill, coming to you, the commercial vehicle, like among all these players, that's a very different category altogether. So if you could give us some insights there, how is the customer journey like in the commercial vehicle segment?
Yeah, while the pre-sales portion is quite different from the cars or the two-wheelers, because other than the small trucks, or there are also a spectrum of customer profiles, people who buy, say, tens and hundreds of trucks and buses, and the people who buy maybe ones and twos. Maybe the ones and twos might come to the showroom and they would need an experience on the pre-sales also, and which is moving towards a little bit more of some research already done, some kind of a reach out already there through the digital means, and they would come to the showroom. But majority of it, about 70-80% of them, still are like the real B2B kind of sales, and which would actually mean that their real retail experience is not in the pre-sales. It's actually in the post-sales. Just to give you an example, if a person has, say, 100 trucks running, and for the pre-sales interaction, the person might be interacting 3 or 4 times with the retail outlet. Whereas for its service needs, the person might be visiting about 4,000 times. Could be on the road, anywhere in India, moving around on the roads, or in the workshops for service needs, if they are running about 80,000 to 100,000 kilometers in a year. So this is over the 4 to 5 years journey. So that experience is quite different. And with the BS6 emission norms, there is a lot of electronics even in the trucks and buses, right? And those lend an opportunity to tap and create a different experience for the customers.
Right. Arun, from your perspective, you've heard the gentlemen speak about, their respective segments. What is your thought about this transforming consumer dynamics in this overall automotive industry right now?
So like we discussed, the facts are not in question at all today. The specifications, what the product offers. So once it's put out on the market, the fact remains. But the role of the seller, when a customer walks into a showroom or has a conversation, is to figure out how do I relate the product features or benefits, however, to what a customer might appreciate, and that to us is a challenge today, because earlier you would still when I say earlier, I'm talking about even a few years ago. You would have facts, you would share brochures, you would talk about specific product features, but today that's taken for granted. That's a baseline that the customer comes with, and they expect you to have that baseline. I mean, you don't get points for knowing something, but you get point docked off because you don't know something that I as a customer know. And so that's the challenge. And second is, for example, something like commercial vehicle, it's a lot more math involved, which means that you talk about product, but finally, are you able to showcase how the total cost of ownership is better in a way that as a seller who may not be great at math, and as a buyer who may not be able to understand the complete big Excel together, how are you able to simplify it and help them know that they're making a right decision? So that the relating to the customer is one big part of the sales experience today. And the second part of it is about how are you really looking at helping your seller understand what the customer wants, because the age of need analysis, you asking 20 questions, that has never worked. It's very easy sitting back here and saying, if only I had 20 things I know about the customer, I'll do it. But no customer is ever going to come and offer you 20 insights. And even with a lot of digital leads coming in, digital data available about customers, you cannot get more than 3-4 data points to the seller at that point of time. So the question becomes saying, how are you able to manage this conversation on the fly without all the information that you would ideally want? How are you able to discover it and get this? Is how we see this, and that's the experience that the seller actually provides, because what you have is already there.
Right. Mohan, coming back to you again, would you second what Arun just mentioned about like fulfilling this customer's changing demands now in a way that they already come informed with a lot of information. Internet is open to everyone today, and if I'm walking into a new car showroom, I already am armed with a lot of information about the potential car or the variant that I'm looking at. So from an OEM's perspective, how are you approaching this entire your sales strategy, if I may call that, to address and fulfill this changing consumer requirement?
Yeah, so first of all, and it's a very important point, if a customer walks into the showroom today, it's, of course, on the one side, the customer knows already so much more about the product. So it's about reconfirming the product information, which is the essence of the product, which the customer already knows because they're already pre-informed before coming to the showroom. The second one is to really connect that with relatable, individual, personalized customer benefits, understanding the customer, walking into the showroom so much more, and then connecting the product with the consumer benefits that product can relate to that particular customer. That's the ability we have to train more and more to our sales consultants, because it's not the transactional discussion anymore or the product information. It's more about creating that experience, building that relationship, and connecting the product with the personalized individual customer experience or the customer benefit the customer can have. So that's a fundamental shift in terms of engaging with the customer in the showroom, which is very different from 5, 10, 15 years ago.
Right. Mr. Kim, is it even more important in the luxury car segment? I mean, having that overall experience provided to the customer?
Yeah, so Mohan already covered most of topics, but I think for us, I mean, the one thing different from the Mohan's case is actually there's a high expectation about the brand.
Yeah.
Because we are positioned in the premium segment.
True.
So customer, they appreciate the experience, but more premium experience. So we always try to provide the better experience than maybe other OEMs, and also how we can give them a more personalized journey, personalized offer. So we are also trying to make our sales consult not just as a car salesperson, but also as a giving a total mobility solution to our customer. So by giving this advice, so I think for this is also to giving them a different experience when they purchase a car. And also our car price is relatively expensive because of the tax and so on and so on. So expectation from customer, compared to purchasing from other OEMs is a lot higher.
Right.
So also what I can notice recently is 70% of our customers of iX1 long base, as I said, they are coming from near premium.
Right.
First time luxury car buyers.
Mm.
So expectation from these customers are even more than our existing customers.
True.
So that expectation management by providing them a proper brand experience, that's the task we have, and that's how we also trying to make ourselves even better to cater all the requirements and demand from those customers.
Right, right. Taking the same thing to you, Mr. Mutreja, if I talk about Suzuki's portfolio, I think you play in the very entry level as well with your two-wheelers and entry-level scooters, motorcycles and scooters, and then at the higher end as well with your niche motorcycles. So how do you differentiate your sales strategy for these two different class of customers?
See, the basics remains the same. I mean, Mohan just said that you need to engage the customer right from awareness to action. And but in the entire journey, equally important is, even if you're giving experience, unless the last one more extension, sharing happens. If he's not sharing your experience as his proposition to his friends and family and relatives, so that is one more reason. So that strategy largely remains the same, provide the good experience. I'll share my personal experience. For example, searching on the last day on the internet for some tax-related query, and you're not able to find out, suddenly a call comes, suddenly, out of the blue on a Sunday, last day. And he says, you're searching for something and can we help you? And then you respond, and then they try to solve a problem in 5 minutes. So it's not just, from having a journey pre-store to store, but how can you help create that experience so that the customer is sold for life? So I may restrict the name, but I'm personally sold for the brand. What kind of experience I got, even it's none of my consideration list also. So for a customer from niche, or whether it's a big customer, higher CC customer, you need to provide the experience, engage, provide all the information, give him the experience, and try to serve him so that he becomes your real spokesman.
Right, right. Mr. Gill, you want to take that to the commercial vehicle segment as well? Is it very important, like what Mr. Mutreja just mentioned, that if the OEM is able to solve your problem and come to you with a solution, are you more likely to go to them?
It's happening more and more, as in the Volvo Eicher space. in the Eicher trucks, we have just moved into the small commercial vehicles,
Right.
which is a small truck. And there we are seeing even more connection with quite similar to the car-like experience where people have already done their research. They know their specifications. They're trying to look out for more. In the other commercial vehicles also, and those ticket sizes, I mean, I'm talking about a truck which is just 1 million, 10 lakh rupees, going up to the upper end is, say, 85 lakh rupees. So 8.5 million. So, and in the Volvo range, it is going up to Volvo trucks and Volvo buses could be 20 million as well. So in this entire spectrum, many times these kind of digital tools at the time of decision making are helping decide on the right variant. The person might have been using, say, for example, a 22 feet truck for ages. And now we've come up with a different configuration, which is a 24 feet, which can actually deliver far, far better. And if the right segment mix is there, match is there, then that offering, that choice is available to the customers through using these kind of digital tools in our retail outlet. And that is becoming possible more and more.
Right.
And as I mentioned earlier, our biggest advantage in the retail experience comes in the after sales. So when all our trucks and buses are connected, we offer it from 2020 since BS6. So all of them are connected with advanced telematics. So uptime becomes very, very crucial for those commercial vehicles. Those trucks and buses are being bought for commercial purposes so that they keep on running, generating revenue. So we do lots of data analytics to do predictive analysis. And our uptime center, which is a unique one set up in India in 2020, and that offers lots of those services to make sure that the trucks and buses keep on running and generating the profits that they should have. And that helps in the next sales decisions also. It also helps in, for example, integrating this digital requirement that if the parts are consumed at, say, 800 different touch points in the country, then how do I actually ship those parts predictively without even being ordered? So that's why we've integrated not just in the front end, ultimately it changes the retail experience. Because if somebody is looking for a part, even before the person is looking for the part, you are already there with those kind of parts. And we are talking of commercial vehicles, which actually would need a lot of maintenance and they run 100,000 kilometers a year.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you touched upon this digital aspect, which I was, about to bring. But, coming back to you, Mohan, this digital element, and we are seeing this, like we discussed initially, that the customer is having a lot of information available at their disposal. So how do you transition from this online to offline journey? Are you taking in a lot of these digital enablement tools to materialize this transaction eventually? And how are you going about that?
Yes, absolutely. So point number one, the integration from online to offline is absolutely mandatory. That's key because it's about creating that integrated consumer journey for the customer, right from the time when they seek information on the website, on social media channels, engage, drop a lead form, and go to the dealership. For example, one important factor for us is the configurator, and we really spend a bit more time on the configurator because we have now a 3D fully 3D based digital configurator on the website based on Unreal 5. It's a very advanced platform in terms of detailing, visuals, all of that. Because it's important to have that immersive product experience in first place. So one is having digital information, but the other one is having that immersive product experience in the digital world. So that's one moment which is important to own as OEM. The next one is in terms of the accessibility to engage with the OEM. You're providing factors such as you can calculate your insurance, you can do your exchange, you can do your PMP, you can even book your car fully online. And once that's done, transaction online, it will go in real time to the dealership, to the selected dealership as per the customer choice, which means when the customer goes to the dealership, all the data is already pre-fed into the DMS system, which means it's seamless from digital to the showroom. So the customer walks to the showroom, all the information is preset, we have all the data, all the choice in terms of model, variant, color, even insurance, accessories, all of that pre-filled in the system. So the conversation can continue rather than restart again.
Mr. Kim, you want to add to that?
Yeah. So he talked about pre-sales and sales
Right.
stage when it comes to digital journey with the customer. Of course, we have a pre-sales, there is a configurator, which is same, which quite common in industry. During also sales discussion when customer visit the showroom, so we have a lot of digital tools that customer can configure his car even better with the background he like to put it in.
Right.
Then also we also like to simulate the cost of ownership if they purchase EV in comparison to IC combustion engine.
Right.
What will be the cost of ownership over 5 or 6 years of ownership period? And then we are also focusing a lot on post sales. Yeah, so when a car is delivered, we recommend customer to download the app, which is called My BMW. So My BMW connects to the car.
Okay.
So wherever customers are, they can see where the car is located. In case he has a chauffeur, then he can see how much of fuel is still left. So when is the service due? We don't just stop here, and also there are connected drive store in the app. So there are options that you can add digitally. So you can purchase the options using the app. Payment happen through the app. Then it activates additional functions in the car, such as ambient lighting system, or in Europe, steering handle heating system, and so on and so on. So those are the things that customer even can subscribe. Yeah, you don't have to purchase it. You can purchase during winter time, let's say seat heating function.
Right.
So 3-4 months based on the demand. So those are the things that we are really emphasizing to be connected to the customer even after the sales. So eventually to sell second car to this customer is what we are also focusing on.
Right. Mr. Mutreja, in two-wheelers case, we're already seeing a lot of players in this segment leverage online e-commerce platforms for selling their vehicles. And also we are seeing the two-wheeler being one of the key segments when it comes to the electrification in the market right now. I think that is the biggest penetration we are seeing in the entire industry right now. So from your perspective, how do you see digitalization, the importance of digital retail in your class?
I think internet has changed the way we used to see the world previously and now, and especially after COVID, when the customer could not come to you. I think this provides the opportunity in the entire world to reach to the customer at his doorstep. And so this is where we started our journey also. Maybe like a tool on our website like Suzuki at doorstep. So, but building on that, when it was a complete configurator option, of course, that customer can choose, select DMS integrated and select the product, and you can deliver the product after he pays everything online. So this was the opportunity capitalized. But many things over a period of last 4 years, this one more thing is that if you are not taking care of customers, somebody is going to take care. So when the digital is moving, if you are not digital ready or you're not preempting digital tools, somebody else is doing. The customer is going to consume digital. And maybe the most trustful or source of information he trusts may be family friends who have already bought. As he said, maybe someone who has already interacted 4,000 times in their journey. So he's going to trust more on his. Maybe followed by other mechanisms. One of the most potent mechanisms is information available on the internet, and that too by your OEM, whether it's a YouTube or a Facebook or Insta. So doing something, preparing some idea, concept, delivering to the store, but it's more important that it is available online, because at the end of the day, when the Google search or the search in some other function will happen, you as an OEM need to be present so that he consumes information, he understands information. Of course, evaluation can be done at different stages. So this is one thing we are also leveraging, trying to develop our systems step by step, how to reach closer. For example, inquiry mechanism. One is your physical store, physical dealership. But today, I think the world is moving, or the younger customers are moving from physical dealership to your digital asset. He should be able to see all the products online. He should be able to understand all the product variants. He should be able to compare the product with the competition. And largely, it is when he consumes all the information, only at the decision-making action stage he comes. Right. So these are the nuances which are building up, and so we as a brand are also making us ready, see how the market is moving, what the customer expects, and we need to be in line with the customer requirements.
Right. Right. Do you see these requirements coming more for the electric products in the two-wheeler segment?
We do have done a launch, but go to market is slightly some time, but largely the digital strategy, for maybe ICE product, a customer, what we feel is going to more features and performance led. But in case of EV, as we are seeing technology just maturing over the last so many years, we see that within the digital education as a medium and providing experience as a medium, comparison, why it is needed, why it is not, that can be a basic differentiator. That can be performance and feature led to this, will be experience and education led. It's important to educate the customer. ICE has been in the air for ages. He knows about ICE, what he wants to buy, why he wants to buy. But EV, I think the technology is changing much faster. Why you need a certain technology, why you need not a certain technology, that education has to come first. Your dealers need to be get ready in the terms of physical infrastructure, because of customer convenience, in terms of charging. Your technicians need to be ready in terms of overall understanding product, how to have analysis. These fundamental things are very, very important in preparation for EV, I think.
For the electrification. Mr. Kim, your thoughts on the EV space, because, like you mentioned, iX1 and i7, you already are present in the electric space in your portfolio. So do you see differentiation, in the customer approach strategy when it comes to ICE and EVs?
I think the cost of ownership that plays a big role as a decision maker for the customer at the moment. So the most frequent question that we get from customer is, what would be my cost if I buy, let's say, 740i or i7? So those are the questions also comes, and of course infrastructure is the second question. How can I charge my car, and how would you help you if suddenly my battery is drained and I can't move it anymore?
Right.
So those are the things that it's often asked. Of course, now I'm talking about younger generation and Gen Z and millennials. A lot of customers are very also they are thinking about sustainability,
right?
How they can contribute to the society by purchasing EV vehicles. So that also is one of the decision factor for those customers, and also those younger customers also sees EV as a more technological advanced vehicle than just a normal combustion engine. So that also drives the sales from younger generations as well.
Right. Arun, coming to you, you've heard your colleagues talk about the online to offline journey. So your thoughts about it, from the outside perspective, how do you see the importance of that right now, and how are you seeing it unfold going forward?
So the way we look at it is, offline is the place where the ball gets easily dropped, because you have, once a customer walks in, you are dependent on the word of one single individual who spoke to the customer. I mean, your customer has given you all the data. Let's say they come from online, and then they walk out. The expectation is you fill in, what happened in the meeting. But typically, that never happens. It's assigned to somebody else to be filled at the end of the day or end of the week, depending on what the ask is. And the conversation details are sparse, because the idea there is, for the dealer sales guy, the question is, hey, are you going to ask me for information to screw my happiness later? How does this even work? How is this fair? So that's one part. You never get the information, whether it works, don't work. The attribution on why something worked, did not work is almost always a black box, unless you're able to speak to the customer directly. Which means the second part comes in is the experience that we spoke about. Today, with auto, most of the experience of what the customer sees in the vehicle is no longer touch and feel. You talk about electronics, you talk about ADAS, safety, things that, you can't show, and, there's nothing physical about it per se, which means the ability for the seller to explain this becomes even more important. Because even today, when I say 2 months ago, I went to test drive a car. I keep doing it randomly. And, it was in the evening, and I said, how does this ADAS work? And they said, no, don't use ADAS at night, it doesn't work. And I'm like, I mean, sorry, but I have a car that already has it, it works. But for them, it's or they say, don't use wireless charging because it will heat up your phone. It's a dud feature. And I'm like, I mean, how can you, that's something that you're offering, and that's something that I value. But, maybe you're right, but you can't say that. So the question then comes in to say, how are you able to, as a seller, communicate the experience? And one thing that we are seeing a lot of our customers do is have a separate category of content called sales content. So where they say, you know, my marketing content that I put up online for public consumption is going to be slightly different than what I'm giving my seller, because when at the dealership, my customer has specific questions and I have to give them specific answers. I can't broad base it and say, oh, by the way, you know, I'm going to send you a video. You go to the 3rd minute, you'll have answer to your question. Or, you know what, I'll send you a brochure where in the 4th page, 2nd column, you'll have this answer. So that's a place where we see things moving, where how are you able to help the sales consultant close the loop with the customer. And this is one place where we've taken inspiration from pharma companies, because when pharma consultants, sales reps go to doctors, they have a concept called leave behind literature, which means at the end of every conversation, you're supposed to leave behind, typically, mostly it will be a sheet of paper, cardboard, which is like super big, that you leave, because the expectation is that while you may communicate a lot of things during the discussion, it is not necessary that the doctor understands and has assimilated everything, which means I have to, it's more like a minutes of the meeting that you do in corporate meetings, but in a dealership, that concept doesn't exist. So the leave behind literature in terms of closing the loop is something that we see coming in, where based on the specific conversation I've had, I'm going to close the loop saying, hey, we discussed 5 things. This is what these 5 things are. So these are things that we see happening out there from.
Sure. We're almost at the fag end of this conversation. Last word to you, perhaps, Mr. Gill. As I was just asking Mr. Kim about, this transition towards newer propulsion technologies, electrification, and in the commercial vehicle space, more hydrogen, LNG, these kind of things. How do you see this impact the overall customer sales approach, overall in the industry going forward?
In fact, I was just wanting to add on when you mentioned on the electric vehicles. Right. So we, a couple of months ago, introduced our small trucks in an all-electric range. Right. Prior to that, we had some buses. Now, in that small trucks, we found a different expectation of the customer. Like there was an anxiety related to charging, which Kim was talking about. So they wanted, where do I get my charging point, which is my nearest charging point. So they are running a truck on a different route. It could be intracity, intercity, and that's where they want. So we have tied up with like 16,000 charging points across India, that too located in and around the metro locations where most of the electric trucks are currently being sold. And there we also found, unless you get them the exact details, not a generic detail, the exact detail, for example, in Gurgaon, there might be some charging points inside a mall where truck is not allowed. So the truck will not go, it's only for cars. So you have to differentiate even that. Then the second expectation which they came up with was which charging point is available to me. Then the next one, which has very recently come up, is even if it's not available, is it available after 15 minutes? Because I am 15 minutes away. And the next one could be, can I book it? So when we talk about retail experience, I'm expanding that to a customer experience. In commercial vehicles, what we see is usually if the operational efficiencies improve, if the person is able to make more money, it's a commercial vehicle with the usage of their trucks and buses. And that's what we do by integrating our Eicher app, the connected solutions, back into our dealerships, back into our service providers, back into even our plants, back into our parts distribution center. So unless this integration happens, the customer retail experience would not really change. And that's what we are trying to do. And this is actually raising the expectations of the customers to make sure that how do we still do more with less, which means our logistics cost still is one of the highest in the world in India. How do I really make it more and more efficient by reducing and overcoming all the challenges that come on the way? So yes, that's very interesting now.
Right. Closing comments from you, Mohan. Some actionable insights that you see the passenger vehicle industry needing in the foreseeable future, maybe the next 3 to 5 year time frame, around transforming this overall retail experience that we just talked about.
I think it all starts already with training our own sales consultants in the first place, because even they are at the end also our customers. And I can see how their mindset and attitude is also changing, because we're talking about Gen Zs and millennials themselves, which means the delivery of training about the brand and the product itself is changing. It's actually getting much more experiential. We even add elements of gamification to engage with them in a very different way. So that's point number 1. Point number 2 is, engaging with our customers in the showroom has to be also much more relationship-based and experiential, which means giving our consultants in the showroom the ability to give that experience in terms of drive experience and enhancing that test drive experience, but also in terms of content to really enrich that conversation between the sales consultant and the customer is very important. At the same time, for example, last year we developed a new tool to manage the full funnel real-time based. So data flow, data insights, and using data to have predictive AI-based modeling and predictive support of planning is essential.
Right. Great. Thanks for summarizing for me, Mohan. I think on that note, we'll close this panel. Really appreciate everyone's time and thank you so much. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.